Indeed, one of our other travelers today, we're going to see in this first bout all the way from Anchorage, Alaska, the Rage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ColoradoSports.TV coverage of the 2015 Mayday Mayhem tournament hosted by the Slaughterhouse Derby Girls of Greeley, Colorado. My name is Mark Bradford, also known as Brad Example.
My name is Sean Monahan, also known as Wilhelm Scream.
We are here at the Budweiser Event Center in Loveland, Colorado. We are on track 1 for the first game of the day, featuring the Rage City Rollergirls from Anchorage, Alaska, competing against the Muddy River Rollers Lumbersmacks from Moncton in New Brunswick, Canada.
A good early start. These first games are pool plays, figuring out seeding for the knockout tournament later on, and Rage and Muddy getting warmed up on the track to start this tournament off, at least for track 1.
So Muddy River has not yet been ranked in the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. They obtained their full membership only last October. 99 is the current WFTDA ranking for Rage City. They joined the Women's Flat Track Derby Association in March of 2011.
Yeah, that 99 is actually kind of important. Flat Track Stats is giving an initial ranking where they're guessing Muddy River will end up, and the initial ranking they're guessing is that number 99 that is currently held by Rage City in WFTDA.
So we can predict this will be a pretty close game, and we will see the outcome. The outcome will have a large effect on how the initial seedings for these teams wind up. Really quickly, skating for Rage City, we have number 03, Salmon Ella, number 100, Lil Red Vet, number 12, New England Pat Riot, number 202, Tiger, number 2112, Old Derby Basher, number 212, Hot Donna. We'll introduce the rest of the skaters later. We have our action underway.
And picking up lead jammer for the first time in this game, picking up the initial lead jammer status, that is for Rage City.
Number 66, Painmaker Sally.
Painmaker Sally was able to sneak out of that pack relatively quickly, fighting around and already on a scoring pass. Hot Donna trying to pull back the Muddy River jammer. Both jammers actually cycle back deep in the pack. That is Sniperess jamming for Muddy River. But so far, Painmaker Sally already through, grabbing 5 points on that initial scoring pass, and looks like Sniperess just now completing her initial pass through the pack.
That took nearly a minute for her to get out there.
And Painmaker Sally coming around the outside, gets bumped, stays on the track, grabs another 4 points, calls off the jam.
Is able to call that jam off before Sniperess gets into the pack for points, so it's a 9-0 lead after the first jam, only a minute off the period clock here in our first jam. We have 2 periods of play separated by a halftime. They're broken down into scoring sessions called jams. At the start of each jam, one of the skaters lines up behind the others with a star on her helmet. She's the jammer, she scores points.
That's the nice thing about 30-second penalties. It doesn't stay full long.
From our vantage point, we cannot see the jammers when they line up. We'll have to tell you those as we find out. And we just learned that number 8, Tootsie Valentino, is jamming for Muddy River, and number 49, Ice Crystal, for Rage City. She's the first one through, lead jammer for Rage City.
And Tootsie Valentino picking up a track cut on that initial pass through the pack. That is going to make this a power jam for Rage City. But Ice Crystal bounced to the inside. Hot Donna, number 212 for Rage City, being sent to the penalty box on a back block call. It's going to knock down Rage City to only 3 blockers on the track. But the most important member is the jammer. The jammer sneaking through. That's Ice Crystal grabbing all 5 points for that scoring pass. But don't look now, Tootsie Valentino already standing. Her penalty time almost over. She re-enters the track trying to juke around, gets bumped to the outfield by Tiger. Ice Crystal tangling with the entire Muddy River wall. That 4 wall is just slowing her down. And Tootsie Valentino takes another big hit. That was from Deuce Gunner knocking her to the ground. And Tootsie Valentino finds an opening, completing the initial pass. Ice Crystal recycled back to the pack. Calls off the jam with 4 more points before Tootsie can sneak around and grab any.
So that keeps Rage City on top with a score of 18-0 after about 3 minutes in our first period of Derby. Rage City staking a claim to hold on to that number 99 ranking. There are 30 seconds between jams. A jam lasts until the lead jammer calls it off, or 2 minutes have elapsed, whichever comes first.
Jamming right now for Muddy River, trying to fight her way through the pack. That is number 47, Smashy. And there's a multiplayer block penalty being assessed to Deuce Gunner. Smashy picking up lead jammer status. It's the first time Muddy River's picked it up in this game. Chance to whittle away at that lead that Rage City's been picking up, but also out of the pack, completing the initial pass. That is number 76.
Genetically evil for Rage City.
Quick call off, 4 points for Muddy River. Puts them on the board. Score is 18-4.
Heading to the 26-minute mark remaining in our first period. We will be tossing in little explanations of rules and gameplay for those of you in the audience who might be new to women's flat track roller derby. If you tune in tomorrow, Saturday, you will see some men's roller derby association play. We have 3 teams here that will be playing round robin. The rules are the same.
That is Snipers back on the track, jamming for Muddy River. And her counterpart is number 66, Painmaker Sally. A repeat of the initial jam, different result though. Snipers picking up lead jammer first, and Painmaker Sally just unable to fight through. Lost the helmet cover for a little bit.
Painmaker Sally now out of the pack and able to score. That inspires Snipers to call it off after collecting 5 points, taking them to half of Rage City's total, 18-9 after 4 jams.
Yeah, it looked like during that jam, Painmaker Sally was looking for a star pass. Unfortunately, her pivot was in the penalty box at the time, so she had to put the cap back on.
So far, 4 jams, 2 lead calls to each team. Each team able to hold the other scoreless when they have lead, but Rage City a bit more successful at turning those opportunities into points.
With more than 5 minutes down, the score is actually still pretty conservative, I think, at this point.
I think most of the skaters are still trying to wait.
And that is once again Tootsie Valentino tangling with the Rage City 4-wall Ice Crystal. Out front, cuts an inside line. And she is through the pack, picking up lead jammer status. Dodged a big hit that was attempted to be leveled by Knocker Walker. Ice Crystal already around and back up in the pack, trying to find some more points for Rage City. Does so, grabbing, looks like all 5 in the air. Another 5-point scoring pass for Rage City. Tootsie Valentino finally getting around that Rage City wall. The Rage City defense really slowing down Tootsie Valentino so far. And during the first jam, she did pick up that track cut. Another single point picked up by Ice Crystal, calls off the jam.
So 24-9 now, just past the 24-minute mark in our first period of play. Many of these teams have not played each other before. In fact, Muddy River has not played any of the other teams here at Mayday Mayhem, so it'll be a voyage of discovery.
Like that is Genetically Evil, picking up lead jammer status for Rage City. Number 45, Burnin' Rubber, on her way to the penalty box. Going to cut down the Muddy River wall to only 3. Genetically Evil already back in, looking to grab those points. Smashy fighting against the Rage City 4 wall, not having a lot of luck so far, being slowed down very well by Gunner and number 313. As Wicked Speedia. Also part of that pack is Batman and number 212, Hot Donna.
Genetically Evil is called for a penalty.
That presents an opportunity for Smashy. It's going to be a power jam for Smashy, and because Genetically Evil was lead jammer, it's going to be a full 2-minute jam. A little bit of an opportunity for Muddy River to get back into this game. They're certainly not down by too much so far, but those points are starting to pile up, and Rage City has been very effective at cutting down the number of points. Smashy did get pushed out, has to recycle back deep into the pack. She was pushed out by Gunner.
Just at the very end of that scoring pass. She'd almost escaped, and her skate went over the boundary line.
It was a well-played bit of defense by Deuce Gunner. Smashy does complete the scoring pass that time around, grabs 5 points, just as Genetically Evil rejoining the fray out of the penalty box.
Pack is very tight here, moving into turn number 1. Smashy tries on the inside line, is bumped to the infield.
And Genetically Evil forcing, looks like that is number 45, Burning Rubber, into a multiplayer penalty, and also forcing Godly into a forearm call. She gets around, gets 5 points of her own for the Rage City Rollergirls.
So 3 final points for Muddy River as time expires on the jam. By my count, that's 8 on the jam for a total of 17. Only 5 points on the jam for Rage City, taking them to 29. So only a 12-point game.
Number 18, Appeals. Number 22, Side Effects. Number 25,
Both teams coming into this game with a 1-0 record in sanctioned play for 2015. Rage City with their victory over the Ventura Battalion of Skates, 177-77. And Muddy River beating Rock Coast 371-83 back in February.
So far, each team sticking with a 3-jammer rotation. Painmaker Sally back to the line for Anchorage, and for the Canadian team, it's number 50, Sniperess.
And Painmaker Sally picking up lead jammer status, fought around the pack. Sniperess being slowed down, bounced to the infield one more time. As Painmaker Sally cutting through, finds an opening on the inside, grabs all 5 points. And looks like box blocker into the penalty box. That's going to make it a little bit easier for Painmaker Sally. One fewer defender to tangle with. Does get pushed to the infield by the pivot for Muddy River. And once again, but that leads to a penalty, and that is Burn Rubber. If I'm not mistaken, that's Burn Rubber's 3rd penalty already of this early going.
And at the very end of the jam, it looks like a high block is being called. They're going to have a team timeout called by Muddy River, which is a great time to finish introducing the teams. I had gotten as far as number 2112, Old Derby Basher for Rage City. Number 212 is Hot Donna. Number 227 is Volatile Violet. Number 26 is Batman. Number 27 is Spenard Itch. Number 313, Wicked Speedia. Number 49, Ice Crystal. Number 50, Deuce Gunner. Number 66, Painmaker Sally. Number 76, Genetically Evil. And number 93, Jack and Her Box.
And the Muddy River Rollers, the Lumbersmacks, are number 0, Box Blocker. Number 100, Hail Destroyer. 111, Knocker Walker. 13, Man-Bait Kate. 1755, Velvet Stalker. 18, Buck Wheels. Number 22, Side FX. 25, Sugar Snaps. Number 33, Sienna Sempra. 42, Godly. Number 45, Burnin' Rubber. Number 47, Smashy. 50, Sniperess. 55, I'd Hit That. Number 6, The Big Bop Her. 619, Billy the Shiv. Number 7, Kate Shamrocker. Number 8, Tootsie Valentino. And number 86, Michael J. Foxy.
So each team has 3 team timeouts per game. They can be called only between jams. They stop the clock for 60 seconds. Those 60 seconds have just expired, and we see the skaters returning to the track.
It looks like Muddy River's going to have a little bit of a tough time on this one. Godly is the lone blocker on the track right now. They've got 3 in the penalty box with 1 of their blockers standing, and I believe Godly was actually waiting. She's got a penalty she has to serve as well. Good defense right away. It does force Ice Crystal out, but because she went down as well, Ice Crystal was able to bounce back up. It is a no pass, no penalty situation, so Ice Crystal is not lead jammer, but she is the only jammer that's eclipsed the pack so far. Well, number 8, that is Tootsie Valentino trying to fight through as the Muddy River jammer and trying to pick up the lead jammer status. Does so. Ice Crystal already grabbing 5 points.
So Tootsie Valentino, on advice from the sidelines, calls it off, preventing any further scoring by Ice Crystal. Limiting Rage City to 5 points on the jam, 44-17 now, as we head to about 18.5 minutes to go in our first period.
That was correct. Godly was waiting for her opportunity to go into the penalty box. She's sitting there now, as is number 202 Tiger from Rage City. Both teams with only 3 blockers on the track.
There are 2 seats for blockers in the penalty box, so the reason that Muddy River was able to have 3 blockers in the box at the start of the last jam is because one of them was already standing up, meaning she had fewer than 10 seconds to go on her penalty, but it made room for 3 blockers.
Genetically Evil picking up lead jam status for Rage City. Jamming for Muddy River, first time on the jam line, that is number 45, Burnin' Rubber. Burnin' Rubber also completing her initial pass, but Genetically Evil already in the middle of the pack and looking to get some more points for the Rage City Rollergirls. The Rage City All-Stars of Anchorage staking themselves to an early lead. 4 more points picked up by Genetically Evil. It's going to put the score at 48-17 with 17 minutes, 41 seconds left to go in the first half.
Rage City able to get that jam called off before Burnin' Rubber got into the pack for any points. The jam goes until the 4th whistle blast, so you have to be careful when you start to call it off. However, the points aren't scored until your hips pass your opponent's hips, and so you have to be in the right place on the track to actually earn those points.
But you know what? A really good jam.
Painmaker Sally with the star for Anchorage.
That's going to be that.
And I think that's number 47, Smashy, out again for Muddy River. It is.
Painmaker Sally once again picking up lead jammer status for Rage City. She's had a pretty good track record of it so far in this game. Smashy being really slowed down. Once again, the Rage City defense holding tight until their jammer sprung free. Smashy is out, having completed the initial pass. But Painmaker Sally, as we've seen a number of times, Muddy River jammer gets through. Rage City jammer already back in, picking up points on the scoring pass.
So 3 points for Painmaker Sally, who calls it off. By my unofficial stats, she has picked up lead 3 of the 4 times she's been on the track.
I guess another way to look at it is they're doing a really good job of playing offense and defense.
16 minutes and change to go. 34-point lead now for Rage City, starting to put a little bit of daylight between themselves and Muddy River, reinforcing their claim to the number 99 slot in the Women's Flat Track Derby Association.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think that we're seeing too that the Rage City girls have got
Ice Crystal almost found an opening on the outside. Good stop by Burnin' Rubber, forcing the Rage City jammer back deep.
Tootsie Valentino, number 8, has the star for the Muddy River Rollers.
And Tootsie Valentino just ran into Deuce Gunner, a big hit down, and looks like she lost a toe stop. She's got to recycle back.
She just tosses the toe stop to her bench and gets back on the track.
Hey, Coach, I don't need this unless I'm trying to do a tomahawk stop.
Well, but it looks like she's a little unstable there. She hands the star to the pivot, number 45, Burnin' Rubber, who gets out of the pack.
A good decision. Ice Crystal out around, grabbing a few points, grabs 4 more as she calls off the jam. It's going to extend the lead 55-17 with 15 minutes and change to go.
So the way that star pass works is the skater with the striped helmet cover is the pivot, and the jammer can hand the star to that pivot, turning them into the new jammer. We've seen a lot more of this in the Women's Flat Track Derby Association in the last couple of years as they simplified the rules regarding it.
And it's a good bit of strategy, and it can lead to some very exciting jams when you're seeing that star being passed, because it just changes what everyone's doing. Sniper is trying to fight through for the Muddy River Lumbersmacks, but Rage City All-Stars also fighting through, and no lead jammer declared as of yet. Sniper's being slowed down by Hot Donna, and Snipers picks up lead jammer status.
That breaks a 3-jam lead streak by Rage City.
And Genetically Evil fighting with the front of the Muddy River pack as Snipers bounce to the outfield by Tiger. Snipers recycling back and re-entering the track. Meanwhile, Genetically Evil did fight through, completing that pass. Snipers calling off the jam, does pick up 3 more points for Muddy River.
That takes Muddy River to 20 points. First points they've scored in 6 jams. by my count.
They were just buzzing all over like a hornet's nest. And that's what happens.
55-20 on the board. Past the halfway mark, we have 13 minutes to go in our first period.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to have been in that chaos, in that fray that was happening in the corner too.
And Smashy living up to her name. Smashy just barreling through that pack, picking up lead jammer status for Muddy River. Painmaker Sally also out for the Rage City All-Stars. Painmaker Sally fighting.
A track cut picked up by one of the Rage City blockers. I think that's number 50, Deuce Gunner. 4 points for Smashy.
And Painmaker Sally bounced through, and looks like she picked up a track cut. That's going to create a huge opportunity for the Lumbersmacks.
And Smashy starting to capitalize, but picking up a 5-point power pass and already back in the pack for more.
And only 2 blockers to feet, and again, just barrels through. That's Hot Donna and Tiger that she forced and kind of juked off the track. It's another 5 points picked up by Muddy River.
So penalties earned by skaters last 30 seconds, but the timing doesn't start until you actually sit down in the penalty box.
A little bit of a passive offense used initially by Muddy River. They let their jammer catch up and then try to engage. That was number 7, Kate Shamrocker, that was really trying to break up everything. Smashy with another pile of points. Comes around, gets bounced to the infield. That's by Deuce Gunner. Calls off the jam. 3 more points, and that's going to put the score 60-42.
Painmaker Sally had picked up some points. I must have missed a point somewhere in my tracking because...
Oh, correction, 59 to...
Oh, what do you know about that?
Number 14 coming your way shortly. The penalty box, looks like we got Rage City's got 1 skater in there, so we get 5 on 4 as we start at 14.
So, closing the gap a little bit. Now a 20-point differential.
Muddy River managed to get some of that momentum back. They cut the lead. The deficit we were facing in about half during that last jam.
And double now because Sniper is picking up lead jammer. Muddy River on a little bit of a streak with lead jammer status. Ice Crystal bounced down by number 33, Sienna Sempra. And it leads to a penalty against Ice Crystal. Sniper's already out on a scoring pass, catching up to the pack. And this is a Lumbersmacks power jam. 5 points grabbed by Sniper's. And Ice Crystal hasn't even made it to the penalty box yet. It's going to make this a huge opportunity for Sniper's. Sniper's back, tangling inside the pack once again. Finds an opening on the inside. Sneaks around, grabs all 5 points. Another 5-point scoring pass. 10 so far this jam, and she is looking hungry for more.
And this is just how quickly a 38-point lead can be erased.
And Sniper's out around again. 5 more points. She's going to take down that Rage City lead. Looks like all by herself right now. As from a jammer standpoint, clearly she's doing it with some good help and good sealing off by her defense. The defense stepping back, seeing that Ice Crystal was coming out of the penalty box. Sniper's taking a big hit from Hot Donna, bouncing her and forcing a retreat back through the infield. Not wanting to give up that advantage and take an ill-advised penalty of her own, so good track awareness. She calls off the jam as Batman being assessed a penalty. 3 more points picked up by Snipers. That's an 18-point jam by my count.
I concur, Wilhelm Scream, which, again, by my unofficial count, should result in a 1-point lead for Muddy River. However, I might be incorrect as that's not reflected on the scoreboard.
And now it has been. That is a lead change, a 60-59. Lumbersmacks taking the lead for the first time in this game. But we'll see what comes out of it. Looks like there is a official...
No, it's a team timeout.
I thought I saw the O being raised at first, but looks like just a team timeout being called by Rage City.
And I would say that this is a timely team timeout for Rage City, giving them a chance to regroup, reassess here on the track, stave off this 40-point, basically, comeback in the last couple of jams. by Muddy River Rollers. I was saying earlier that Rage City was staking their claim. Muddy River's not having any of that.
This is only the second sanctioned bout that Muddy River has played in their history, and they're looking like they're going to take down Rage City. They're setting their sights. Rage City has a lot to say about it. There's still a lot of time left on the clock. We've got almost 10 minutes left in this first half before a full 30-minute second half, and it's now a nail-biter.
For those of you following along at home, Team 1 is the Rage City Rollergirls from Anchorage, Alaska. Team 2 is the Muddy River Rollers Lumbersmacks from Moncton, New Brunswick.
The Rage City All-Stars in black, the Lumbersmacks in white.
Who's jamming there for Muddy River? That's Burn.
Both jammers being slowed down so far. That's Burn Rubber jamming for Muddy River.
Genetically Evil, number 76 for Anchorage.
And Burn Rubber spinning, finding an opening, but looks like Deuce Gunner was able to step ahead, just slow her down a little bit. Did not prevent her from picking up lead jammer. So she is out, and Batman out of the penalty box, going to try and catch up to Burn Rubber. Doesn't want to engage too early, though.
You are awarded lead jammer when you are the first one to legally pass all of your opponents. 2 points picked up by Burn Rubber, who then calls off the jam.
He got slowed down at the end by Deuce Gunner. Deuce Gunner throwing it to the ground with a good block, and Burn Rubber decided, call off, get the 2 points, and let's reset, start all over.
62-59 with 8 minutes to go in our first period. This is going to be, looks like a nail-biter going into halftime. However, we have also seen some dramatic shifts in play in second periods. So the halftime adjustments will be interesting to watch.
Interesting in this jam.
That's Smashy jamming for Muddy River Rollergirls, the Lumbersmacks. Gets recycled back through the outfield. And Painmaker Sally trying to find an opening for Rage City. Looks like a high block call being assessed to Knocker Walker for the Lumbersmacks. But Painmaker Sally and Smashy both push the outfield and recycle back deep, back behind the pivot line. And Painmaker Sally now out and picking up lead jammer status is Hot Donna on her way to the penalty box. Both teams with 3 blockers.
That breaks a 4-jam lead streak for Muddy River.
And Painmaker Sally out through almost untouched, grabbing 4 more points for Rage City, and that's going to lead to a lead change.
But still a 1-point game, 63-62 with 7 minutes to go in our first period. They're making, each team making the other work for it.
Here's that seesaw valley we're talking about today, but we had another lead change, 63-60.
This is relatively what we expected, with one team officially ranked at 99 and one team predicted to enter right around that same spot. Expected a very hard-fought, very tight bout between these two teams. It's exactly what we're seeing so far.
This whole tournament is an opportunity for the Muddy River Rollers to pick up the sanctioned games they need to earn a ranking in the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. Those rankings are calculated numerically. Number 50, Snipress, is the jammer for the team in white, and for the team in black, it is number 49, Ice Crystal. Both are out, and
Ice Crystal got out just ahead of Snipress.
Yeah.
And showing off that good Derby intelligence. Tried to keep pace with her, realized that she wasn't going to be able to pass. Wanted to call off the jam before Snipress could pick up any points.
That preserves a 1-point lead for the team in black, Rage City Rollergirls, against the team in white, the Muddy River Rollers.
Yeah, it looks like Rage City's changing.
You are watching ColoradoSports.TV. I am Mark Bradford, also known as Brad Example.
I am Sean Monahan, also known as Wilhelm Scream.
I believe that is Tootsie Valentino.
And that's Tootsie Valentino jamming for Muddy River. And it looks like that is Wicked Speedy, a new jammer for Rage City. Unfortunately, she picks up a track cut penalty. It's going to create an opportunity for Tootsie Valentino, and jammer penalties have been hurting Rage City.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times already. They're playing tough defense.
Lead jammer call for Tootsie Valentino.
And again, good strategy by Muddy River, slowing down the pack, allowing Tootsie to get caught up relatively quickly. Puts her right back into the fray, and a good seal pushing the blockers to the outfield, allowing Tootsie to find that inside line, grabs 5 points.
Which, of course, results in another lead change. This is going to be a barn burner.
And Tootsie Valentina knocked down, thrown to the ground in the infield. Good blocking by Hot Donna and Deuce Gunner. And Wicked Speedy out of the penalty box, tangling with box blocker. Tootsie Valentina finds the inside seam, completes another scoring pass, another 5 points.
Back block assessed to Deuce Gunner from the pack for Rage City. 5 points for Tootsie Valentino, who calls it off.
That puts the score right now 72-63 with just over 4 minutes left in the first half.
This is the largest lead that Muddy River has enjoyed, 9 points. They held a 3-point lead a few jams ago, which was turned into a 1-point deficit, but now they're back on top. Both teams are employing the braced blocking strategy that has seen increased popularity amongst WFTDA teams.
Well, it's a very effective strategy, and it's a good way to avoid picking up those multiplayer blocking penalties. Haven't seen as many since that brace blocking has really come into play. Sniper is picking up lead jammer status for the Lumbersmacks. Genetically Evil being slowed down, and appears that Genetically Evil picks up a track cut penalty. That's going to create another power jam for Sniperus and an opportunity for the Lumbersmacks to open up their lead. And it was Snipers that really helped get them back in when they were down by a pile. Now they're going to have a chance to go up by, a good...
Some.
I would assume, with the way that Snipers has been skating so far, probably around 20 points at the end of this jam. Some good stiff defense being played right now by Rage City. Another 5 points grabbed by Snipers. Looks like Hot Donna into the penalty box.
Down to 3 blockers apiece on the track.
Genetically Evil is standing, looking to re-enter the track. And Snipers around again, dodging hit from Deuce Gunner to grab 5 more points. Genetically Evil out of the penalty box, out of the pack, completing her initial pass. Snipers calling off the jam.
So by my count, that was a 15-point jam for Snipers, building up Muddy River's lead to 24 points. With only 2 minutes left on the period clock, enough time for 1, maybe 2, potentially 3 jams.
It all depends on clock management. But right now, the bigger thing is managing that scoreboard. Muddy River looking to get a few more points and extend that lead going into halftime. Rage City wanting to chip away at it.
Started to.
And we're seeing that is Smashy jamming for the Lumbersmacks. Team from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. And jamming, that is Painmaker Sally jamming for Rage City. Painmaker Sally bounced to the infield, forced to recycle back. Smashy just trying to bull her way through, and Painmaker Sally finds an opening, picks up lead jammer status for the Rage City All-Stars.
A track cut now being assessed to Smashy.
That's going to create an opportunity for Rage City. Saying that they needed to cut down the lead that Muddy River had set up, and this is a great opportunity for them to do so. Painmaker Sally already grabbing points back in, and again, seeing her pack slowing down the opposing team, allowing their jammer to catch up very quickly. Painmaker Sally bounced the outfield by number 111, Knocker Walker.
The highest jam we've seen in this game so far has been 22 points. So it would take a larger jam than that for Painmaker Sally to completely erase Muddy River's lead, but can definitely put a dent in it.
And a good straddle move. Sienna Sempra was trying to slow her down. And it looks like Painmaker Sally calling off the jam, 4 more points, but at the end of that jam, Smashy picking up a back block call. That is going to allow Rage City to start this next jam on the power jam.
And just enough time to run 1 more jam in this period.
As we approach the end of the first half. 20 jams down, probably about the same in the second half. It'll be interesting to see how the strategies.
If there are fewer than 30 seconds on the period clock at the end of a period, they won't run another jam unless a team calls timeout.
how many points can we get ahead so that we're, you know, maintaining.
I thought
looks
there
like
might
a
have been enough
timeout.
time, but apparently
Looks like there was a timeout just called in time.
You start to see that lead go away.
And it might have been a confusion and an official timeout just to make sure the clock is correct.
You squeeze the stick a little bit tighter, and all of a sudden you're.
well, your other option is each team gets an official review that they can call in each period. It's not necessary that that be a real review of something. You can use that official review as effectively a timeout.
Sure, and if you're successful with your official review, kind of like in the NFL, you can actually get that back if it is determined that you're successful.
Only once, though.
Yes. You can't officially review in perpetuity. But Rage City out. They are on the power jam. Lone jammer on the track, and that is number 50, Deuce Gunner.
Whereas Billy the Shiv taking a high block from the Muddy River pack, going to go sit down for 30 seconds.
Muddy River down to only 3 blockers on the track. Deuce Gunner sliding off a hit from Godley. That grabs 5 points for the Rage City All-Stars as Smashy re-enters the fray, fresh from the penalty box.
And if I'm correct, this is Deuce Gunner's first time with the star in this game.
And Gunner just pulled into a track cut by number 25, Sugar Snaps.
Sugar Snaps did a great job there of just ducking a little bit backwards as Deuce Gunner re-entered. And the rule is you're not allowed to improve your position while you are out of bounds relative to your opponents, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it was a very close call, but the correct call from what we could see. Gunner in the penalty box. That makes this a power jam for Smashy. 5 points for Smashy, and with Gunner being lead jammer, full 2-minute jam. So there's extra derby time in this first half.
Indeed. About 35 seconds remain of that 2-minute jam, which is enough time for Deuce Gunner to come back onto the track.
And Smashy tangling with Genetically Evil and Hot Donna. Also Batman finally gets around. Got around the last skater. That was number 313. Wikidpedia. 5 points picked up by Smashy. 4 picked up by Deuce Gunner out of the penalty box.
And 5 seconds left. Just enough time to get back into the pack. If the skaters can get their hips past their opponents, they will earn points, and they do.
Each grabs 1 as we come to the half. And we were talking about the official reviews. Looks like Rage City is calling for an official review. So we could still potentially have a little more action.
I don't think so. Welcome back to ColoradoSports.TV coverage of the 5th annual Mayday Mayhem tournament, hosted by the Slaughterhouse Derby Girls of Greeley, Colorado. I'm Mark Bradford, also known as Brad Example.
I'm Sean Monahan, also known as Wilhelm Scream.
This is the first game of the day on track 1, featuring the Rage City Rollergirls All-Stars from Anchorage, Alaska, taking on the Lumbersmacks of the Muddy River Rollers from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. And it's been a tight game. We've seen several lead changes in the first period. Right now, it's only a 16-point lead for Muddy River, 98-82, getting ready to start our second period.
Got some penalty information, relatively even, which is not surprising with such a close game. Rage City has picked up 20 penalties overall so far in the first half. Muddy River picking up only 17. So again, very close. Only one skater really so far looking at any sort of penalty trouble. That is from Rage City, number 50, Deuce Gunner, sitting already with 5 penalties.
And if she gets to 7, she will have fouled out of this game. There are also certain infractions, which we hope we don't see today, that get you immediately expelled from the game. But those are usually have to be pretty egregious. At any rate, there are 18 seconds remaining on the halftime clock, after which we will line these teams up and get them back into the action. We have 2 pools of 7 each WFTDA, Women's Flat Track Derby Association, teams in sanctioned play at this tournament. They are playing round robin for the first day and a half, which will seed them into an elimination bracket. The top 8 go into the bracket, and the remaining 6 will play against each other in pairs for the remaining seeding, or remaining placements, I should say.
Yeah, and there is also going to be a couple of men's roller derby bouts happening over the course of the weekend and some junior derby bouts. We've got men's bouts tomorrow and junior derby on Sunday. So stay tuned all weekend on ColoradoSports.TV. Catch a lot of derby. And very quickly off the start of the second half.
That's an unfortunate start for
both Snipers and Paymaker Sally. Snipers didn't actually sit down, so Paymaker Sally is technically released first, even though Snipers had gone in the penalty box first.
Your penalty time doesn't start till you actually sit down fully in the chair.
Both jammers going to the penalty box on identical penalties, both picking up track cuts. Going to be a full 2-minute jam, and both jammers trying to fight through a multiplayer block penalty being assessed to Godley. Snipers is the first jammer out of the pack. Paymaker Sally removing the cap, looking like she's setting up a star pass. Instead, puts it back on. Was the inactive jammer while cutting through. If it had been a scoring pass, would have gathered 0 points. 4 points grabbed by Muddy River and Sniperus. And Paymaker Sally coming back around. She's on a scoring pass of her own. Sniperus in turn number 4 spies the pack ahead of her. Gets pushed to the outfield. That was, I believe, Hot Donna.
Sniperus is able to fully lap Paymaker Sally. She will earn the 5th point on this pass.
But Sniperus looks like there is an illegal procedure penalty that is assessed to her. Puts her back into the penalty box. Looks like might have been an issue with not having her mouth guard in because she was just handed her mouth guard in the penalty box.
Oh, that's not good. You're allowed to remove your mouth guard while you're in the penalty box. Oh, and she can't come back on too early. You know, she has to sit the full 30 seconds. It's not a question of, I have my mouth guard in, can I play again? No, that's not the way it works.
Paymaker Sally has already put some points on the board and now does complete a star pass. That goes to Gunner. Once again, star pass, you can pass it to your pivot. It has to go from hand to hand. The pivot can put it on their helmet. Pivot's the only one that can gather it. But with the rule change, you don't have to put it on inside the engagement zone. You can actually wait and just hold on to it in your hand for a while. Why we've seen it so much more frequently.
So my expectation here is, let's see, compare the scores. We got 91 to 102. And timeout is being called. An official timeout to explain what's going on. I'm expecting that Sniperus is going to, well, she's definitely going to start this jam in the penalty box for Muddy River. And I think what's being evaluated is how much additional penalty time she has to serve.
Yeah, either way, it's going to give Ice Crystal an opportunity with the power jam. Looks like Sniperus is standing, so she's got fewer than 10 seconds left on her penalty time. So it'll be a short-lived power jam for Ice Crystal, but an opportunity to try and grab lead jammer status right away. But good blocking by 111. Knocker Walker knocks Ice Crystal to the infield. Sniper's out of the penalty box. Neither jammer through as of yet.
Ice Crystal pushing on that inside line, but the Muddy River blockers at the top of the pack able to contain her.
Ice Crystal took a big hit from Kate Shamrocker. Ice Crystal bounced to the infield, recycle back. Sniperus now tangling with Batman, forced back. A lot of recycling being done by both of these defenses. Good, strong defense. We've already seen 45 seconds gone in this jam, and neither jammer completing their initial pass.
So in a nutshell, Rage City not able to capitalize on the power start, but still with an opportunity to get their jammer out first as Ice Crystal is pushing at the top of the pack, and on the out-of-play call, she is through, she is lead.
And an out-of-play call being assessed to Knocker Walker as well. That cuts down the Muddy River wall to only 2. Only 3 for Rage City. Sniper's trying to fight through. Looks like actually 2 as well as Hot Donna into the penalty box. Sniper's completing her initial pass. So Ice Crystal takes a hit from Kate Shamrocker.
Ice Crystal completes the pass, earns 4 points, and immediately calls it off, taking advantage of her lead status to prevent Sniperus from picking up any points. So that's going to chip down the score here. I missed some points scored, Wilhelm Scream, because That's about 10 more points than I expected from Rage City. So some adjustments on the scoreboard must have taken place.
So that puts the score 111 to 102, which means Rage City's back up on top. Genetically Evil jamming for Rage City, but that is number 8, Tootsie Valentino. Tootsie Valentino, lead jammer for the Lumbersmacks. Going to try and chip away at the lead that has now been established by Rage City. The first time that Rage City has had lead jamming, or the lead score in a while. Tootsie's going to try and cut it down. Fast-moving pack. Everyone is racing, trying to keep the jammers from catching up. Tootsie Valentino sneaking around Batman, calling off the jam, and gets 2 points. Thrusting her hips forward so she can make sure to grab that extra point, getting those hips past.
So that's going to make the score 111 to 104. Only a 7-point lead for Rage City going into the 4th jam of the second period. We've got under 25 minutes to go in the game.
Tightly contested seesaw battle is going to continue. It looks like that is Smashy jamming for the Lumbersmacks.
And it's number 66, Painmaker Sally, with the star for Rage City.
And Painmaker pushed to the infield, Smashy pushed to the outfield. Both jammers recycled back. Smashy pushed to the infield. This time that was by number 313. That was Wikipedia. And Painmaker Sally picking up lead jammer status for the Rage City All-Stars.
Smashy breaks out of the pack as well to apply some pressure.
Painmaker Sally saw a hit being lined up, ducked underneath it, grabbed 4 points, calls off the jam as Smashy sneaking up at the back of the pack. Call it off in just enough time to prevent Smashy from grabbing any points for the Lumbersmacks.
I was playing it a little close in my opinion. I mean, you want to, if you're in the lead, if you have a comfortable lead, you want to burn as much time off of the clock as you can, but this is a pretty narrow lead, and you don't want to really risk your opposing jammer picking up points just because you were a little late in calling it off. Anchorage trying to get the team timeout called does succeed. That's going to stop the clock at 23 minutes and 13 seconds. That's the second of their team timeouts. They have 3 in the game, and the clock will stop for 60 seconds. So, Wilhelm Scream, we already saw a lot of back and forth in the second period. We've seen, or the first period. We've already seen some here in the second period, but it seems a little bit to me as though Anchorage is a bit more determined in this second period than Muddy River.
Well, definitely, and so far, with the exception of that, both jammers almost at the exact same time picking up the track. We've also seen a little bit of cleaner play,
exactly.
At least from the jammer standpoint. We're still early on. It was relatively clean in the first few jams of the first half as well. But Rage City definitely looking to assert themselves over the Muddy River Rollers right now. Muddy River still has a lot to say, though. I mean, there's still almost 23 and a half minutes left to go between these two teams, and you know they're both looking to try and get that early inside line to being the #1 seed out of this pool.
The unofficial Flat Track Stats Service is predicting that Muddy River should come in at ranked number 99. Rage City is ranked number 99. So a lot to figure out here. Rage City wants to stake their claim to that spot.
That's Ice Crystal jamming for Rage City. Ice Crystal just out and stays on the track. Kind of skirted the line. Picks up lead jammer status for the Rage City All-Stars.
Cypress with the star for Muddy River.
And Sniper's out of the pack as well, completing our initial pass. Ice Crystal already tangling inside. Again, that's something we saw a lot in the first half, where one jammer would be lead. Second jammer would finally complete their initial pass as the lead jammer was in the middle of the scoring pass. Happened again. Ice Crystal grabs a couple.
This was interesting because Snipers had just gotten out of the pack and had the whole track to get around before getting into scoring position. Ice Crystal had a little time, but she wasn't going to fool around. She called off the jam, even though she'd only picked up 1 point on the scoring pass.
A little bit of a different strategy than her fellow teammate used when Paymaker Sally delayed almost to the point where Smashy was re-engaging for a scoring pass. Right now, we've got number 313, Wicked Speedia, jamming for the Rage City All-Stars.
Number 8, Tootsie Valentino has the star from Muddy River.
And Wicked Speedia picking up lead jammer status. Tootsie Valentino was forced to recycle back deep. Tootsie getting around, also completing the initial pass.
So both of these teams coming to Colorado from more northern latitudes. And the majority of teams coming here are from lower altitudes, with the notable exception of Duke City Derby. Albuquerque's actually higher up.
Actually, during or shortly after their warm-ups, I ran into Ice Crystal, and she was mentioning that the altitude's already starting to get to her a little bit just from the warm-ups. So we'll see how that plays in as the game continues as well.
3 points on that last jam. We have 119 to 104 on the board. 15 points. We've already seen a few jams in this game that have scored higher than 15 points. So hardly a safe position for Rage City. 21 minutes left to go in the game.
Smashy jamming for the Lumbersmacks, trying to smash her way through. Dancing on her toe stops, staying just on the track, staying away from Gunner, and looks like Gunner just picked up a forearm call.
Lead jammer goes to Smashy. Number 66, Painmaker Sally, has the star for Anchorage, but she's still in the pack. Oh, looks like she's removed the star, but her pivot is in the penalty box, so there's no one to pass it to. All she can do is hang on to it and hope that that makes her a little stealthier on her trip through the pack.
Smashy grabbing 4 points. And we've seen this a couple times from Rage City. It might actually be a little bit of a strategy is to go inactive for a short time.
She's on her initial pass, so being inactive doesn't really make a difference at this point.
Exactly.
So Deuce Gunner, number 50, the pivot for Rage City, back onto the track, picks up the star as she passes by. Painmaker Sally on the outside. She's out and clear to score.
And Smashy's already grabbed another 5 points. That's a 9-point pass so far, or scoring pass total. 9-point jam. Jam was the word I was looking for. Smashy getting through, grabs another couple of points.
Actually 2 points apiece as the jam is called off. So Deuce able to pick up a couple points.
And that just makes it even closer. 5 points now. 121 to 116, just under 19 and a half left in this game. Definitely both teams fighting and scrapping, looking to keep that gap from getting too large.
Looks like we got the ever-present Derby chess match here.
A multiplayer block called. So multiplayer blocks are when a skater challenges a physical link between two blockers and can't make it through. It's number 8, Tootsie Valentino, out and lead for Muddy River. Number 49, Ice Crystal, has broken through the pack for Rage City.
And Tootsie Valentino already knifing through the pack, grabbing 4 points, calls off the jam very quickly.
And by my count, that takes us to a 1-point game, 121 to 120 with 18 and a half to go. Muddy River does not want to let Rage City sit easy on their number 99 ranking.
I honestly, I've done a number of tournaments. I can't remember the last time that I saw a first game of the tournament that was a 1-point game as frequently as this one has been. And it's just going to keep going back and forth. Only 1 point separating the two teams with 18 minutes to go.
If we do get down to the end with a tie score, they will run an overtime jam. Those are pretty rare. Forearm call on
Sniperus.
Okay, yes, it is on Sniperus. Deuce Gunner thought it was on her, but she was waved back onto the track.
And if that had been against Gunner, I believe that would have been Gunner's 7th. So advantageous for her that it was called against Sniperus. Also advantageous overall for Rage City because it puts them on a power jam with Wicked Speedia wearing the star.
However, Wicked Speedia is still on her initial pass, doesn't have the right to earn points yet.
Some good, strong defense being played by the Lumbersmacks right now. Rage City stepping back, working a passive offense, letting Wicked Speedy force the pack into a situation where they had to let her go. Wicked Speedy just barreled her way through, does pick up lead jammer status as Sniper is coming out of the penalty box.
Wicked Speedy looking a little thoughtful as she comes back on the back of the pack and calls it rapidly. 3 points.
And a track cut being called against Snipers as the jam ends.
It was Snipers who was in penalty trouble at the beginning of this period. So we've got to be wondering how many total penalties Snipers has picked up. Each one only takes you off the track for 30 seconds, but if you hit 7, you have fouled out of the game.
And Snipers has been a very effective jammer overall for Muddy River, but those penalties have to be a little bit troubling. A lot of them have been good forces by Rage City. And right now there's an opportunity for Painmaker Sally to open up that what was currently a 4-point lead, trying to get a little bit more breathing room. And looks like box blocker into the penalty box for the Lumbersmacks.
Leading scorer so far for Muddy River is Smashy with 57 points, but Snipers isn't far behind with 45.
Painmaker Sally getting tangled up with Sienna Sempra, completing the scoring pass, grabbing all 5. Sniper is trying to fight her way through. Painmaker Sally bounced to the infield.
Now there's a penalty for blocking out of bounds, assessed to Painmaker Sally, and it's a power jam for Snipers.
And that's going to create an opportunity. And again, full 2-minute jam. We're seeing a number of these full 2-minute jams. I believe this is the 3rd one of the game where it's been enforced that it has to be a full 2-minute, and Snipers looking to cut back that lead. Not a huge lead by Rage City. Snipers has an opportunity. Grabs 5 points right there on that pass, completing the scoring. And again, you're seeing the pack really slowed down by the power jammers. The team that has the power jam, they're slowing the pack down. They're allowing the jammer to catch up very quickly. Snipers fighting through, and they were stepping back, letting Snipers do the work. She completes another scoring pass, another 5 points.
Painmaker Sally back in the mix. Power jam is over.
And a multiplayer block penalty against box blocker. Painmaker
4 points.
So we're seeing a little bit of a back and forth in this jam, and Snipers takes a big hit from Gunner. Painmaker Sally out and around, gets pushed to the outfield, has to recycle back. Pulled back by Sienna Sempra. Another 3 points. Looks like those 3 points picked up by Snipers. Jam ends. And
when the dust settles, we've got a tie game at 133. That's what the scoreboard says. That's what my unofficial statistics say. And that's 14 minutes left of play, and you might as well be back at 0, right?
They've already played 46 minutes, and we still don't have a winner. We don't have a leader. We've got a 133 to 133 score with just under 14 minutes to go.
Oh, man. Coming, almost out on the inside line. Number 49, Ice Crystal, has the star for Rage City.
And wearing the star for the Lumbersmacks, that is number 8, Tootsie Valentino.
Buried in there somewhere is Tootsie Valentino going to work for Muddy River.
Ice Crystal being slowed down really well by Godly. Batman trying to present a seal. Now stepping in place, that is Knocker Walker.
Muddy River's pack had gotten pretty lean there, but the penalty box is emptied out and they're at full strength. Ice Crystal makes it out first, lead jammer, but Tootsie Valentino passes her up, and Ice Crystal is just going to call it off.
Wisely calling off the jam, and that's going to maintain that 133 to 133 tie. And again, this is only game 1 of the tournament, and we're sitting with a tie score with under 13 minutes to go. You know, there's a chance that we could end up seeing overtime in game 1 of the tournament.
We have got 14 games on each track of 2 tracks scheduled today, so plenty of roller derby. Final game of the day starts at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time.
Looks like genetically evil wearing the star.
And a pile of bodies, including both jammers. It's genetically evil and Smashy. And Smashy just ever so slightly stepping off the track. That is a track cut penalty, genetically evil on a power jam.
I saw her skate touched the boundary, but I couldn't tell from my vantage point if it actually went over the line.
And this power jam, Genetically Evil looking to break the tie, break the deadlock. She is in on a scoring pass on this power jam. Genetically Evil trying to fight through.
This is only Genetically Evil's second turn with the star in this period. She jammed quite a bit in the first period.
And 5 points grabbed by Genetically Evil. The deadlock is over, and looks like Genetically Evil going to pass the star off to Gunner.
Oh.
That's going to void lead jammer status. We're going to get the full 2-minute jam. And we'll see if this strategy works out for Rage City. Gunner also, by my count, unofficially, but Gunner sitting with 6 penalties already. Deuce Gunner grabbing another 4 points. Smashy out of the penalty box, hasn't completed the initial pass quite yet.
So that's some serious incentive to skate cleanly. But Gunner all the way through for 4 points.
Smashy coming around in the pack once again. Now we're seeing the pack kind of racing. Wicked Speedy and Box Blocker tagging with each other a little bit, coming around turn number 1.
3-on-3 in the pack. About to become 4-on-3 as one of Muddy River's blockers returns from the penalty box.
Smashy slowed down by Hot Donna. Deuce Gunner getting around. Looks like she dodged Box Blocker. Grabs 4 more points for Rage City, and there's going to be a jammer lap point. An additional single 3 points grabbed by Smashy as that jam ends.
Let's see what we wind up with on the board here. 19-point jam for Rage City, only 3 for Muddy River, and Rage City able to then open up a 16-point lead, 152 to 136 with 10 minutes to go.
It is Tootsie Valentino trying to fight through for the Lumbersmacks.
Oh! I saw that one. Painmaker Sally's skate went out of bounds, and she was unable to take herself back out of bounds before momentum carried her back on the track. That's a track-cutting penalty. She's off to the box. Power jam for your lead jammer, number 8, Tootsie Valentino.
And Tootsie directing her pack on how she wanted them to set up. They started out slow and then engaged in, broke them down. That allowed her to get 5 points already. She's back in for another scoring pass. Tootsie Valentino tangling, almost pushed to the outfield, dodging a hit from Deuce Gunner. That's another 5 more points. And Tootsie Valentino going to claw Muddy River back into this. Not that they've really been out of it for quite some time. It's hard fought and very close, but Tootsie Valentino is going to try and erase the deficit entirely.
There was a brief period of time about midway through the first period when Rage City looked like they were going to lock it down, but Muddy River decided, And in the course of about 2 or 3 jams, they came back and took the lead.
And once again, we're seeing a situation where the Rage City jammer inactive, Painmaker Sally out of the penalty box, now puts the star back on her head. Tootsie Valentino thrown to the ground. Good block by Deuce Gunner. 4 more points for Tootsie Valentino, and the Lumbersmacks brings that jam to its conclusion.
And I see a 2-point game on the scoreboard, 152 to 150 with 8.5 to go. Oh man, they're going to definitely make this into a barn burner.
Who needs caffeine when you've got a 2-point game or a game that's just been as back and forth and as close as this one?
There's some people are standing around, but nobody's called timeout. Last second exchanges of skaters on the track. Both teams with a jammer. The first one through is Ice Crystal for Rage City.
Not that far behind. Snipers and a low block penalty being assessed to Deuce Gunner. We'll see if my math has been correct, but I believe that is Deuce Gunner's 7th.
We'll know soon enough. And that's going to be a scoreless jam as Ice Crystal feels the pressure from Snipers and calls it. So far, Deuce Gunner is still the one seated in the penalty box.
And there is indeed an exchange of the pivot cap. That is Deuce Gunner's 7th. She has fouled out.
So Wicked Speedia taking Gunner's place in the penalty box, wearing the pivot cap.
Looks like Deuce Gunner has fouled out in this foul. That's a huge loss for Rage City.
And Deuce Gunner's been such an effective player. And we're going to see how Rage City adapts to losing Deuce Gunner for the rest of this game. They've still got,
7 minutes.
There's still plenty of time. And Tootsie Valentino just keeping those wheels on the track. Grabs lead jammer status for the Lumbersmacks.
Genetically Evil, number 76 for Rage City, has their star. Wicked Speedia about to re-enter the track with a pivot cap.
And looks like Volatile Violet picking up a penalty. Both teams sending at least one blocker. Tootsie Valentino grabs 4 points, calls off the jam, and that's going to flip that 2-point deficit into a 2-point lead for the Muddy River Rollers.
Yeah, the pivot for Muddy River, Burnin' Rubber, was one of those blockers headed to the penalty box. So they're going to have to start this next jam without a pivot.
We're going to start this next jam with a micro pack. Both teams, 2 blockers in the penalty box. Only 2 blockers on the pack.
6 minutes on the clock. One of those times when we get to utter the roller derby cliche, it is anybody's game, and be perfectly honest about it.
Smashy through, picking up lead jammer status. Paymaker Sally being slowed down so far. Good defense by the 2 Lumbersmacks blockers, and Godley pushing Paymaker Sally towards the outfield. Didn't quite do so, but Smashy already through, grabbing 5 points, getting that jammer lap point. And with as close as this game has been, that jammer lap point is of critical importance.
Paymaker Sally following Smashy out of the pack. And on advice from the sidelines, the penalty box was emptied out. It was a penalty kill kind of for both teams. In fact, 2 points are the final pickup for Smashy. Total of 7 on the jam, taking them, by my count, to 161 to Rage City's 152.
9 points separate in the 2 teams. 5 minutes to go in this second half. But it's been back and forth. It is certainly far from over.
Starting with 5-on-5 for this one.
Ice Crystal pushed to the outfield. She is jamming for Rage City, and Ice Crystal forced into a track cut penalty. Another opportunity for Snipers. Snipers pushed to the outfield. Good block by Tiger. And Snipers recycled back deep behind the pivot line. She was already to turn 2 and pulled back over a quarter of the track, linked back.
She gets out and is awarded lead.
And Snipers looking to grab some more points. Muddy River in only their 2nd ever sanctioned game, looking to knock off the Rage City Rollers. It's still a question. It really depends at this point who can keep their jammer out of the penalty box. And as we're going into the second half later on, it seems like Muddy River has had a little bit better luck with that. And a collision between Snipers and Ice Crystal.
See, this may be only Muddy River's 2nd sanctioned game, but they did win the Slay of Fundy tournament in 2014. So it's not like they are new on the track. And in fact, just looking at the gameplay from both of these teams, they are showing experience and awareness.
And Snipers grabbing 4 points. Ice Crystal just drilled. I believe that was Knocker Walker once again. Snipers willing to take some time, doing a little bit of clock management. Just killing some more time off, fights through a quick burst of speed, calls off the jam. 3 more points picked up by the Lumbersmacks.
Some rather excited calls from the sidelines to Snipers to get that called off. Not taking any risk of Ice Crystal getting into the pack for points. And now we have a 21-point lead, 173 to 152, with under 3 minutes to go. Time for probably a couple of jams. Neither of these teams really dominating the other on the track. They're giving as good as they get.
Yeah, it's been very even, very back and forth all morning long so far. And we're seeing both defenses right now really holding back the opposing jammers. Forearm penalty being assessed. Looks like Genetically Evil picking up the forearm penalty. Tootsie Valentino grabbing lead jammer status for the Lumbersmacks. Wikidpedia unable to solve the puzzle that is the Lumbersmacks blockers so far. Tootsie Valentino sliding through, grabbing all 5 points for Muddy River.
Just keeping her skates in bounds.
In the meantime, Wikidpedia still trying to get...
Wikidpedia at the top of the pack. Not out yet. And so it's definitely to Tootsie Valentino's advantage to burn as much time off that clock as she can. Wikidpedia now clear to score.
Well, Tootsie Valentino keeps looking at her own bench and checking the scoreboard and checking the clock. Wikidpedia out, about to catch up the pack. Muddy River trying to start running that pack a little bit more quickly, but Rage City holding strong, not allowing them to get too far ahead.
So we're going to start this next jam at about the 1 minute mark. Muddy River able to bump up their lead to 30 points, 182 to 152. That clock is going to stop now as team timeout called by Rage City, 1 minute and 8 seconds. And why not call your timeout if you're only expecting to run another jam, maybe 2 at this point, but that would be pretty surprising.
Yeah, the final team timeout, again, the way that this game's been going, it really depends on which team gets through that pack clean. It's not just getting lead jammer status, but the biggest thing that we've seen is staying out of the penalty box when you've got the jammer star.
Well, and the worst possible thing for Muddy River on this likely final jam would be a serious jammer penalty that allows Rage City to take control. Now, we've certainly seen 30-point jams in women's flat track roller derby. We have not seen one in this game. And so with these defenses, it's definitely an uphill climb for Rage City. But I'm not going to say never.
Right. It's going to be difficult. It's a very difficult task, but it's still possible. The biggest thing that they really need is, the most help they would get is the Muddy River jammer going in the penalty box. By the same token, if the Rage City defense just clamps down on that Muddy River jammer, never allows her to get free, that would be a great opportunity, and that could lead to that extended score, but it'll keep the pack moving, which will make it harder on their own jammer.
1 blocker for each team in the box, so we have 3-on-3 in the pack.
We're broadcasting live every game this weekend, so...
Painmaker Sally is the one with the star for Rage City.
Painmaker Sally getting tangled up with Tootsie Valentino. Tootsie Valentino assessed a penalty. Might have been a smart penalty, though. It slowed down Painmaker Sally's momentum just enough. Painmaker Sally does fight through, picks up lead jammer status, but don't look now because here comes Sniperess, also out and eligible to pick up some more points. Painmaker Sally bouncing off of Knocker Walker, and then slides at the front off of lead number 45, Burning Rubber. Painmaker Sally calling off the jam, 4 points, but 4 points grabbed by Sniperess as well.
That late call-off might spell the end because Rage City really couldn't afford to let Muddy River even stay up, kept up with them. Time, the official review used by Rage City to stop the clock. So we will see one more jam. It's still a 30-point lead.
Clock stopped with 3 seconds left on the period clock. But it's been back and forth. If I'm not mistaken, the 30 points is the largest lead that the Lumbersmacks have held, and the second largest lead overall of the game. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. 30 points is the biggest, the tallest that Muddy River has been up. The largest lead of the game was back in the middle of the first period when, for a brief moment, Rage City had a 38-point lead. Now, the next games for these teams, Pool 1, Team 1, which is Rage City, next plays this afternoon at 4 p.m. against the Happy Valley Derby Darlings. Then, I can't read that number.
That's number 7, Muddy River. They'll be back at 2:30 taking on Durango Rollergirls.
This is Velasco.
All of these games being broadcast on ColoradoSports.TV. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you continue to join us through the weekend.
River's got 2 blockers in the penalty box.
We are underway with this final jam. Starting with only 3 seconds. Muddy River is starting out with a pack deficit. And Smashy picking up lead jammer status. Calls off the jam. That is going to close out this particular game. No more points awarded. No more points needed. Score of 186 to 156.
All Smashy needed to do was wait for that period clock to expire and tap her hips. That's exactly what she did. Now, point differential is a factor in the numeric ranking system used by the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, but when you're this close, you would much prefer to just grab that win. So the teams huddling, the teams for the next game coming out, they're going to congratulate the departing teams. And then start with the victorious Muddy River Rollers Lumbersmacks from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. They are now 2-0 in sanctioned play in the WFTDA. They take their victory lap.
It was a hard fought. Neither team relenting. Both teams fighting very, very hard throughout the game. Back and forth. 1 point tie, 2 points. Finally, at the end, Muddy River was just able to assert themselves and step forward and kind of just take ownership in the last few jams, setting themselves up with that 30-point victory. It's going to be a nice start for their tournament. But Rage City taking their lap as well. Nothing for them to hang their heads about.
They played hard.
It was a fantastic game by both teams. Coming up next on this track is going to be number 2 in Pool 1. That is Lava City, taking on number 5, the Happy Valley Derby Darwins. So that'll be coming up very shortly on this track.
That will be it's scheduled for 10 a.m. Mountain Time. It's nearly that right now. So for ColoradoSports.TV at the Mayday Mayhem Tournament in 2015 from the Budweiser Event Center in Loveland, Colorado, I've been Mark Bradford, also known as Brad Example.
I have been Sean Monahan, also known as Wilhelm Scream.
Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned.
Because of offense, so we were having to recycle more, and you know, they had really good O, definitely good O.
How tough was it coming back from, I mean, you were ahead and behind, and it was drawn.
Well, you know, we do that a lot. We always come out with nerves, and usually we'll get our shit together at halftime and then come out in second half and start strong. And it just depends. We're tired. Our whole team's not here. We have one girl coming on a plane. She's probably flying right now, one of our main jammers. So we had to sub in, jamming and blocking, you know, so. And they were a tough team. For right off, they were a tough team, but we don't get to travel, or we don't get to play a lot of teams out in Alaska, so we don't want to come to a tournament and slaughter everybody because we need to practice, you know, we need to learn. So coming out our first game and it being a really close game and us losing gives us what do we got to do for the rest of this tournament. Plus, we have to play Pikes on Monday, Pikes Peak, and that's going to be our toughest game. So
wow,
we want some preparation, you know.
You guys are just going full on then this weekend?
Yeah, anytime we leave, we do as many games as we can.
Fantastic. I was going to say I saw quite a lot of you taking on very different roles. Is that due to the low roster?
Yeah, I mean, like I primarily was going to jam just because Vet is not here, but I had to play. You know, our blockers were fouling out. I mean, Donna fouled out, and so I had to switch to blocking for a little bit. And then Deuce, she fouled out, so I had to definitely stay blocking and sub out jamming. You know, so because I'll play both whenever needed, but. Yeah, it was a rough game.
With the foul outs, with the low numbers that you brought, do you think the score may have been different if you'd have brought a full team?
Well, definitely. You know, yeah. When you foul out, you know, those are 2 of our top blockers. So we had to get it to try and maintain it at the end. We were hoping for a power jam at the end, so we were trying really hard to force a power jam to make up some points, but it just didn't happen. So, you know.
Well, I think you guys were putting on a fantastic, as I said, fantastic game to watch here today.
Thank you.
Setting yourself right for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. That's what I said. It's good to come in and have something to work on for the rest. Now we can talk and be like, this happened. What are we going to do to correct that so it don't happen again? you know. So.
Well, thank you for joining us here at Mayday Mayhem 2015. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you for having us.
That's Genetically Evil and Holly Sheet. Thank you very much.
Thanks. So good. Sorry, I'm a little